I was a Christian by birth. I was born into a Muslim family, and I grew up as a Muslim. My mother was a true Islamic believer and a very popular person, well known as a religious person. So before I got to 14, I had already read the Quran, studied it even before I entered into secondary school. I've completed my Quranic
Studies.
studies. As I was in secondary school, I established an MSS, that's Muslim Students
Society.
Society, because it was a Catholic school,
Wow.
and I felt that we were losing brethren to the church. Until 1991, when I encountered Jesus, and on my praying mat at night, I woke up, which was usual with me, to do 2 rakats, special prayer. I was on the mat, I saw a flash of light, and I tried to look at where it was coming from. My dear, you can't behold it. Then I turned my face down and I heard a voice. Say, follow me. I am the way. I am the life. It was a battle to the extent that they preferred that I was dead and to be known as a Christian. So many things were done, physically, diabolically. There was a physical attempt to kill me. That is my own mother that have brought shame to her.
Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us in today's episode of Faith Journeys podcast. We are so privileged and honored to have you join us today, Ma.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you so much. So let's just dive in right into the question. We have so many people just know you as a pastor, as an intercessor, and a prayer warrior. We want to take the journey back to your background. Did you start off as a Christian, or you had other things while growing up?
Thank you. I was a Christian by birth. I was born into a Muslim family, and I grew up as a Muslim until 1991, when I encountered Jesus on my praying mat.
Mm.
There was a call. The truth is that my mother was a true Islamic believer and a very popular person, well known as a religious person. So before I got to 14, I had already read the Quran, mastered it even before I entered into secondary school. I've completed my Quranic
Studies.
studies before I entered the school. And as I was in secondary school, I established an MSS, that's Muslim Students
Society.
Society, because it was a Catholic school,
Wow.
and I felt that we were losing brethren to the church. So I founded an MSS, which we fellowship till I left
This school.
the school. But in 1991, on my praying mat at night, I woke up, which was usual with me, to do 2 rakats, special prayer. I was on the mat, I saw a flash of light. I've never seen such again since then. And I tried to look at where it was coming from. My dear, you can't behold it. Then I turned my face down and I heard a voice. Say, follow me. I am the way. I am the life. And at that point, to me, it was a taboo to mention Jesus. I was already married. Of course, married to a free thinker.
Wow.
He does whatever that comes to his mind at every moment. Was it a Muslim? Was it a Christian? Was it not a pagan? He does all. And so I jumped from the mat and ran to the bedroom. I was shouting, I've seen Jesus, I've seen Jesus. And my husband used his hand to hold my mouth and said, shut up. You know what you are saying? It was like madness
Okay.
on me. I couldn't close my mouth. I was shouting. Yeah, I went back to sleep. And the morning time, he called me and said, do you know what you did yesterday? If I'm not your husband, I will call you a witch. I said, Daddy, I've seen Jesus. And then we started. From there, something was happening to me that I didn't know what it was. I lost my peace. I lost my joy. Until one Sunday, although we celebrate Sunday very well in my
Yes.
house, I was such a Sunday. I was going to the small market, the daily market in Auchi, popularly called Ugede, to go and buy tomatoes and veggies to make stew for the Sunday meal. Oh, my brother, I found myself after 12 coming out from the Anglican church. I didn't know how I went in. The plan I had from home was I was going to the market. But I was already coming out and I got to Constance Momo's front house and I asked myself, what has happened to you? Where am I coming from? The laughable issue inside there was that the money I was so used to buy tomatoes, I gave it for offertory. I said, what will I tell my husband why there will be no rice today? That became a problem. I went home and I pretended I was sick. By the time he came back, he asked for food. And when he met me on the bed, he said, what is happening? And I was able to say through that day.
Wow.
After that moment, I found myself in Anglican church. Hiding to go to church, not wanting him to know. When he's away on journeys, oh, I'm very happy, I'm free. I go to church. Let me tell you one very funny story.
Okay, ma'am.
On such journey, I had an elder sister who says at the front of the Anglican church, I told you I'm from Muslim background, it's a taboo to go to church. And so, and I didn't want any member of my family to know that something else has happened to me because they respect me so well as Manama, who had an Islamic school where I was teaching women on how to pray, how to observe the 5 pillars of Islam. And then suddenly, I'm something else. So I will not pass through the gate. I will go through the back gate to the Anglican church. One of such Wednesday, I met that the gate was locked. And this time I was pregnant for my second child. Like a mad woman, I climbed the gate. As if it was compulsory, I must fellowship. And getting to the top of the gate, I can't remember that experience, forget that experience. The iron on the top held my dress. I was almost inside. I was dragging. There was nobody to help me. I forcefully pulled and jumped it. I had a third gown. Do you know that I still fellowship? It was so. I continued.
Wow. Sorry to cut you short. I think I have a question for you because of your background and because of this encounter with Jesus. For somebody that was already committed to the Islamic religion, already established a MSS in secondary school, what was it like from your parents? Because I'm sure that eventually they found out that you're no longer that committed Islamic daughter that they had? I was there any form of persecution? Were you ostracized? We have heard stories of Muslims converting to Christians and their family abandoned them. Did you experience anything like that?
Most times I don't want to go to that side because it was not a good experience.
Oh,
It got to a time that my sister got to know that I now go to church. And then my mother was aware. It was a battle, to the extent that they preferred that I was dead than to be
alive.
known as a Christian. So many things were done, physically, diabolically. There was a physical attempt to kill me. That is my own mother. That have brought shame to her. One time I was poisoned. Food I ate pounded yam with draw soup with my mother, and resulted into sickness that had no cure. I wish my husband was alive today. I was taken around the hospitals. I was in now called specialist hospital, general hospital those days. In bed one, then my husband was a nurse working in the same place. I spent weeks, no sickness could be discovered. But night, I screamed like an animal, having pains all over me. Until the doctor said, called my husband and said, "You are just wasting money. Why don't you take her home and see how many days she will live?" I was taken home. I forced my husband because I heard the conversation, and I told him, "Please take me home and let me die at home." My late boss, who was the chief internal auditor, came to see me the day after I was brought back home. I went back to the office and told my colleagues that it's not possible that I will live beyond 2 days. I believe in Jesus. I've seen Jesus in my life, but today I'm talking to you. I'm talking about 1991. So you should be able to know how many years ago.
That is close to 35 years old from now.
Yes, about 35 years. I met Christ August 1991.
Yeah. Mommy, amidst all these challenges and persecutions from family, what kept you going? What made you not to turn back from the encounters you had? What made you not give up and say, this path that I've chosen now, as it were, it's not easy. Look at plenty things that has been happening. Was there ever a time that it came to your mind to like go back to being a Muslim girl? And what kept you in the Christian faith?
I won't lie to you, since I met Christ, I've never had a second thought. It has been from growing from strength to strength.
Mm.
I faced so many things that I wouldn't even want to mention. I suffered so many things. I fell into depression because I was rejected by the entire community. You see, when you have no brother to look up to, no sister to call, situations that you would have ordinarily want to go home, I couldn't. I would have ceremony that I would have needed family,
Nobody showing up.
nobody, because I met Jesus, which was not my making, because They knew while I was a Muslim, I proved the cause of that religion. I won so many souls, even though I didn't know the God I was serving. Even in my place of work, I suffered from hands of our brethren, so-called brethren in Islam, because I was a woman in Dawa that was an evangelist. I belong to the Federation of Muslim Women Association of Nigeria. I was a secretary to the then Bende State chapter. And so, as a young lady, 18, 19, I was already traveling around Nigeria, preaching the God I didn't actually know, carrying on Islam. My family didn't find it easy. I still have a sister who is here to understand the call of God upon my life. But I tell you, my brother, I've never sat down one day or have any reason to say it was an error or a mistake. But I find myself seeking to know Him more and more. I want to tell you, I have better life since I met Jesus. I have better life. I have better life. I have hope. I have hope because it kept me going. It keeps speaking, keep visiting. So He has never given me any reason to doubt whether truly He is the way or the life. It was as I began to grow that I found that it was a scripture that He gave to me in John 14:6. But He didn't mention that He is the truth to me. He told me, said, follow me. I am the way. I am the life.
So, Mommy, I want to ask, there are some people as it were that they are Muslims, but God has encountered them and they have begun a walk with God, with Jesus as it were. What is your word of encouragement to people in that kind of situation that was once a Muslim but now they are Christians, and as a result of their encounter with Jesus and their followership with Jesus, they are facing similar persecutions from family, from friends and colleagues? What is your advice to such an individual?
I love them, and I want to say, if I triumph, every such person will triumph.
Yeah.
Remember that Jesus told us that surely we will face persecution. I took it as part of the cross, and that is what I am advising them. We have been made to understand that when you enter the tunnel, it's not a pleasant thing. You find darkness, but the end of the tunnel, there is light. So let them hold on to what they believe. Of course, that is what He told us in the book of Revelation. We should hold on to what we believe. He's coming quickly to give us our reward. Without these trials, this persecution, they won't grow, they won't develop wisdom. In the face of this battle, these trials, this persecution, I can say I learned faster. There's nothing that will come my way today that I have not seen before. Is it loneliness? Is it abandonment? Is it suffering? Is it sickness or manner of diseases that have no cure, have no name, that came my way? Is it neglect? But in all this, The Bible says all things work together for good for those
That love God.
that put their trust in Him, those that are called according to His purpose. So let them hold on to Christ. Let there be sincerity of faith.
Mm.
Let there be commitment. What I usually see in some of such persons, they think that going to church is enough. Going to church is not enough, but build a relationship with Jesus. Have personal encounter, personal relationship with Him. And so if you have personal relationship with Him, there's no trial that will come your way that you will not surmount.
Mm.
It'll just be a matter of time and little resilience. You cross over it.
Oh.
The young one, they can say no school fees for you. I've seen so many persons who didn't even go to school. They are doing very well.
Wow.
And so don't say because, oh, no one will pay my school fees, you are going back. I've also seen ministry brethren pay school fees for people they don't know. I have such ministry because I have passed through the roads. I know what it takes. And so let nothing shake you or make you to go back.
Mm.
Let them learn to share with their leaders.
Mm.
Share with your spiritual leaders what you are passing through. And let the church also stand by such people, especially interceding for them.
Thank you so much, man. You made mention that when you married your husband was a free thinker. And at first, he was not aware that you have given your life to Christ and began a walk with Him. When he eventually found out, what was his reaction like?
We were at home one day. A member of the Anglican Church, a woman who is also an auntie to him, visited. That Sunday, I didn't go to church because he was at home. And then, because of discussion, he said, see yourself, your mother is a pastor, has been a pastor, a prophetess for years.
Wow. Wait. Your husband's wife?
My husband's mother.
Okay, your husband's mother was
my mother-in-law. She's still a prophetess today in CAC.
Wow.
She planted so many churches for CAC.
Wow.
See your wife, a Muslim. She's the one that is now going to church.
Yeah.
Brother, I've come to let you know that it is time that you return back to Christ. Immediately, I stood up and left the parlor to the room to go and be asking God, help me. Because He told me, if my mother hear that you are calling Jesus in my house, my mother will kill me. He will think that I'm the one who carried you to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the auntie left, he called me. Come, what did my auntie just said? I changed the whole story. I said, your auntie told you something you didn't confirm. Now that your auntie has gone, you are now asking me. I have nothing to say. If she was here, then I can face her and then he will tell you where he saw me. And then we walked over that. I told you that when the Spirit took over me, I was like a mad person.
Don't control it.
Night, I can't sleep in my house. I wake up midnight to blast. Find myself praying. I think that was the first gift I got. I pray. Some nights he will come and meet me and say, it's winch that does sleep at night. Please allow me to sleep.
Right.
I will cease. I'll go back to my coordinator and say, this is the problem I'm having. He said, yes, even when you are murmuring, God understands. Pray inside your mind. God understands. And it was my first project. My first project was, Lord, help me to convert my husband. And then gradually, he left me. And then I joined the Jesus Female Prayer Band ministry because I was looking for or diluted word
Word
of
of
God.
God.
Then Anglican was not what it was now. You can't speak in tongues in Anglican.
Yeah.
Their prayer pattern was reading the ancient and modern. They have prayer book. So I felt that I was saying that my spirit, that was not what he needed. So I decided to go out. I wrote a letter. I watched late evangelist Mrs. Eunice Osagede on television preaching to women. And so I did a letter to
Wow.
her in Benin.
Wow.
No, then postage will take a month, 2 months.
Before you get.
I wrote a letter asking where I can get such a fellowship around within Auchi to join. After months, a sister came looking for me, Rosemary. She's still in Auchi Polytechnic. That they went for convention, and mommy said they should go and look for such a person. And I joined
The fellowship.
the fellowship, which was just student fellowship, and we're very few. My dear brother became the first evangelist there. And then we established it. So I met the brother. I said, please, can you not help me to speak to my husband? And then I told him I would say, you can see, even a lecturer is a member of New Men in Christ Fellowship. It's only me, my husband is not attending. I'm not ashamed to go to fellowship. And, one time he bought a material for me. He was so excited that he bought me a material. And so he gave it to me. He said, Daddy, this is not what I really want. If you can just follow me to the fellowship so that everybody will be convinced that I'm actually married.
Oh.
It looks as if that statement touched him. It was cold. Reluctantly, he dropped the cloth on the sofa and he went away. On a Thursday, he called me, what time are you going to that fellowship? Is it not just to follow you to the fellowship? I said, yes, so that the people will know that I'm a married woman. And then we got ready. He took me on his bike. I went to fellowship. And then they called out first timer and he stood up. We closed, we went to told my coordinator, I've done my own. Fellowship should do their own.
Wow.
And then there was a follow-up.
See.
Before I knew what was happening, he became a member. There are processes, counseling you will have to go through. They led him to Christ. He did 72 hours fasting for the first time. And there were a lot of revelations. By himself, for himself, he heard from God.
Oh.
And then we became workers. And then I pleaded with him that I wasn't satisfied with what I was getting from Anglican. It looks as if I'm still in my old faith. Yeah. He permitted me to join the Spirit Alive Bible Church and told me that himself will remain in Anglican. He became very active in Anglican. But once we close, we hand over his ancient and modern to me. He's going to play draft. Until the bishop was to visit with mommy, Eunice Osagede, the Spirit Alive, to constitute a management body. So he permitted me and the children to go and told me he was going to Anglican. But later that morning, Anosha came to tell me, Daddy, I saw your husband is coming in here. I said, no, he has gone to Anglican. He cannot be here. Behold, I looked and I saw him. He said he stood for a long time looking for a bike to take him to Anglican. He couldn't get. And the brethren that were going from Archbishop staff quarters, who were living at Iyeke, we meet him on the road and they wave him. And the first bike he stopped and said, hit up. Said he should entered. And so He found himself in it all. And then they were calling out, you know, you want to be a member of this church, stand up and come forward for prayers. Because he was there, I couldn't stand though. I started down because my husband is an Anglican, so I had to also be in Anglican. So he turned and looked at his cousin. And then he turned and looked at me and said, let's go.
Yeah.
Ah. And we were prayed for, became the secretary.
Wow.
Became an elder, became a pastor, was ordained 1994 at the convention of the church.
That is a lot of spirit work. You gave your life to Christ 1991. 3 years after, you guys were already ordained as a pastor.
Yes.
What can you say was responsible for that rapid growth? Because we see many currently in my generation, in our time, we see people giving their life to Christ. 10 years later, they are yet to understand the basics of the Christian faith. But here you are, you gave your life to Christ 1991. By year 1994, we have seen growth, we have seen hunger, to the extent that we have been ordained in the church. What do you think is responsible for that? And what is my generation missing?
Like I told you that when I had that encounter, there's hunger to know him more. There was desire to serve. There was willingness. Anyhow, I was available. And one day we were discussing. And I said, Daddy, you know that I'm the one that converted you. He said, yes, I'm your general overseer. I said, yes, there is room for overtaking. He said, you are in the spirit. He said, I met you, I ran past you, and today I'm in front, you are following me. One thing about him, anything he wants to do, he does it wholeheartedly. He gives everything he takes to it. We were so committed. We belong to several groups. We want to serve everywhere. We gave our time. We didn't have money. So if I tell you we gave our money, we gave our time, we gave our energy. There was no money to give. We were trekking from here to Hilltop almost on daily basis. Because if the men are not meeting, the women are meeting, the children are meeting, one thing or the other. We trek back from here to Hilltop. That is after the police station now. We were there. We were available. So I think God just gave us that speed. But today, we want to see the benefit first before we serve. That is the problem of this generation. You ask someone, please, can you manage the children? The first thing we ask you, what will be my benefits? What will I get? Why do you think I should be in that? The time I would have spent making money, I'm giving it to God's work. Let me make money first, and then I will come back to God. I tell you that God gave us quick recovery. We made a lot of money. It wasn't what time we put into our businesses, but I tell you, it was the time we put in the things of God. Little things. We weren't looking for mansions. We weren't looking for limousines, Lexus. We just needed food that can keep us going, clothing that could cover our nakedness, possible cars that can take us to church and bring us back. and we had them, we were satisfied.
Wow. Thank you so much, ma. Listening to your stories and this testimony you just shared, what just came to my mind is Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and every other thing will be added to you. Thank you so much, ma, for making our time to share these stories with us. We believe that this story will really, really impact our viewers, and people that will hear this story will be encouraged to go all out for God. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to you, our viewers that tuned in, thank you for staying to the end. If you have not subscribed, subscribe, like, and comment. Till we come here again next time. Thank you so much.